you, I want to ask you about your experiences in World War II. If anything is too hard to answer, then please don't feel like you need to answer. First, what is your name?
Jim Weir.
How old are you?
I'm 92, will be 93 in June.
Where do you currently live? Where do you currently live?
Living since Miami, Florida.
Where and when were you born?
I was born June 11th, 1925. I was born in Mount Pleasant Township in Pennsylvania.
What do you recall about the Great Depression?
The Great Depression, I can remember that people that had an automobile had to take their license plates off, taken over to the company store in order to get free food. If you had an automobile, no food. And everybody went to work on WPA and for practically nothing. And I think it wasn't until probably 36 or 37 that we started out of the Depression.
How old were you when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor?
I guess around 15.
All right. How did you find out the news of this happening?
On the news.
All right. How old were you when you served in the United States military?
How old? 18. I was 18 when I went to service.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I was drafted.
Where were you living at the time you were drafted?
In Wellytown, Pennsylvania.
Why did you join? Oh.
What?
Never mind. What branch of the military service did you serve in?
I was in the Navy Amphibious Force.
How long did you stay in the military?
A little over 3 years.
Why'd you pick the Navy?
I didn't pick the Navy. The Navy picked me. I wanted the Army.
What was your rank in this service?
First class.
Where did you serve?
Served in the European theater and the Pacific.
What type of work did you perform?
I was a coxswain. I was on the wheel, on the steering of the boat, and the repairs.
Can you tell me about what kind of training experiences you had?
Kind of training.
Yeah.
Well, the training was navigating of the LCTA.
What are some interesting stories about your experiences in World War II?
Well, the main experience was this could be long.
All right, it's okay.
Okay. We went over to Scotland, and we picked up 26 LCTs from England that we had land leased to them. We took them down to Dartmouth, England, and put 2-inch armor plating around the bow and the conning tower, and then they named them LCT Armored, LCTAs. And being that we were going into the first wave, we was going to take tanks in for the first wave because the Germans had these concrete structures the whole way along the beach where they had their guns housed. So the tanks were supposed to knock these guns out so that we could take the troops in. So that was the first time that they used tanks in the first wave. We had 3 tanks on each LCTA, and the middle, we had 3 in line on the decks, and they had a ramp in the middle for the middle tank, and he did the firing. He fired his guns as we went in because we had no firepower. And after we took the first wave in, then we would go out and rendezvous to the transport and take the personnel in. And then after we left France, we come back to the United States, and we get a 20-day leave, and they take us out to San Diego, California, and we get an LSM which is identical to the LST, only a smaller ship. And we went out to the Pacific, and we was in the liberation of the Philippines. And then from the Philippines, we was on our way to Japan to invade Japan. And the troops that we had on to invade Japan, being that Japan surrendered, became the first occupational troops that we took into Japan, 20 miles south of Tokyo. And after we took those troops in, we went back to Saipan. And when we got back to Saipan, I had enough points to be discharged. So I left the ship in Saipan, and they put me in an aircraft carrier and brought me back to the States, and I was discharged in December of 45.
All right. Why do you think historians call World War II a justified war?
Well, one good thing about it is it's the only war we won. Of all the other wars that we was in, we didn't win.
So what was life like after the war?
It was great. It was great.
What kind of things did you do after?
I became an electrician.
What wars did you live through? What wars did you live through?
Well, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and Kuwait.
So how did you?
Of course, I wasn't in those. The only ones I was in was this World War II.
Yeah. So how did you stay in touch with your family while you were?
By mail.
What was the food like there?
Was what?
What was the food like there?
Well, the Navy food was good. It wasn't like the Army food. The Navy food, we had equipment to cook, where the Army is mostly in packs of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did you keep a personal diary?
No.
Did other people?
Oh, probably.
What career path did you take after leaving the war?
Became an electrician. That's all I did the rest of my life.
Did you have any hobbies after?
Yeah, well, just racing the Corvettes.
So, how long after the war until you got into Corvette racing?
Well, I got discharged in 45, and I started racing the Corvettes in 1970.
Gotcha. Did you join a veterans organization?
Well, no, I never was active in any of them.
Last but not least, is there anything you would like to add that we haven't asked already?
What's that?
Would you like to add anything that we haven't asked already?
Not really.
All right, thank you.